Welcome to your first project of the course, the digital storefront. In this project, you're going to be reviewing a big piece of code that I've written. You're going to be studying it, getting used to it, getting to know it really well, both to kind of view some of the algorithms that I've created and some of the design choices that I made to learn from them. But then you're going to work on editing the code, adapting new ideas in it, maybe improving some sections of it that need a little bit of refinement, and most importantly, adding on some new functionality to this program so that it is more advanced, more interesting, and more customized to showcase what you've been learning as a coder. What I want to do in this video is give you a bit of a conceptual rundown of what's involved in this program so that you kind of know what you're looking at from the start and you have somewhere to begin as you begin to overview the code itself. Although in the next video that I'll release, in each of the languages, I'm going to give you a little bit of a guided tour through the actual code itself, just because we might be kind of rusty at this still, to kind of help set you up with understanding for what it is that you will be reading in more depth on your own. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of represent the main idea behind this small application. And I've borrowed the concept of a digital storefront from my recent Christmas shopping, where a lot of us probably did some of our shopping this year, online, like an Amazon storefront. Now there's a lot of systems going on in a program like that. So we're gonna kind of simplify it and boil it down to its three kind of core components. Well, I guess we can kind of think of there being four components to this. So on one side, I'm going to consider the first component of this application being me, the buyer, the person that is interested in securing some goods. But there's a couple other things that I need to interact with for this to happen. And maybe the most important one, and one that you have a sad awareness right now, if you are a struggling student, is this idea of a bank account. Somewhere, can you see that? Probably hope that it's not cut off at the edge, but it says bank account, somewhere that we can store our funds and access them to be able to make purchases. And also check in on, we're not going to allow ourselves to go into debt in this program, so we're going to kind of have some management of our funds in the bank account. And then we're going to have the actual storefront itself. This is the place that holds the inventory of items that are available to be purchased. I'm just going to make a little note under here. And what I'm doing on the board is just kind of a general conceptual mapping of how this program's laid out. It's really a good idea when you're conceiving of a project to try to just sketch out some kind of a conceptual representation of all the components that you want. And in a sec, we're going to map out the connections between pieces that helps me have a better grasp of how the parts of my code need to communicate with one another, maybe what type of data they have to pass around, what type of behaviors I might need to code in later. So we've got a bank account, we've got a storefront that has an inventory, and then I'm going to have me, who's also going to have some kind of a owned stuff. The stuff that I've bought, I want to keep track of what it is that I've bought and what it is that I own. And I also, thinking about a digital storefront, want the ability to actually hold items temporarily, because I might find something in the store that I'm not ready to purchase yet. I just want to think about it, so I want to hold it in a temporary storage place. I'm going to call this my shopping cart. I'm just going to represent that, I don't know, maybe in the middle here. My shopping cart. So just kind of roughly jotted on the board, there's this idea of me and a bank account and the storefront itself and a shopping cart, which is kind of like this intermediary. It's like I've sort of committed to it, but I don't own it yet. It's just I'm holding on to items. So where might this program begin and how might some interactions occur between things? I'm going to draw the arrows with purple, and I'm going to do some explanations of the connections with red. So the first thing that I need to have in my storefront is I actually need to have a bank account. So I am going to have to sign up for my own bank account. So this is just me signing up with a bank account that's going to be held by the bank, so I'm depositing some funds into it and it's being held there. Next, I need to inquire with the storefront, take a look at what it might have, and see if there's anything that might interest me. So I'm going to be taking a look at the inventory and making some decisions. Perhaps I make a decision that I want to buy an item. Well, the first thing I need to think about here is there an item? And, oh, this pen. isn't working. A real live classroom experience here. Pen's not working. I want to say, I'm just going to write like this. Item, question mark. Is that item in stock? Does the item that I'm looking for exist? And if it does, and I choose to buy it, it's going to have to query my account to see if I have enough funds to purchase it. And if I have enough funds, question mark, if I have enough funds, it's then going to tell the storefront that I actually have enough funds and maybe send the money that way. And if this happens, then the storefront is going to send me that item and transfer it into my owned stuff. So again, I'm going to be asking the storefront, do you have, like, I want to look at your inventory, I want to make a choice, I want to buy something, and if they have the thing I want to buy, I'm going to ask my bank, hey, can I afford this? And if I can, then I'm going to send that money to the storefront, and then it's going to subtract the item. Can you see that? Subtract the item, and then I'm going to add the item to my stuff. So it's being moved out of the storefront and into the stuff that I own. However, I have another pathway here that I want us to consider, where maybe I ask the store, and if it has the item, I actually have an option of not purchasing it immediately, but what if I want to actually give it to my shopping cart and then have it stored there? So this would mean that the item technically is minus from the storefront, and it's going to be added into my shopping cart. The reason this might be useful is that if it's in the shopping cart, I kind of want to reserve it so that no one else can come and buy it. Not that we have other people interacting with it, but just considering the way that this kind of a type of a program might actually function on a larger scale. If I'm holding it in my shopping cart, maybe that means I've reserved it for a bit. Maybe that's the way this is designed. So it's going to be removed from the inventory and held in the shopping cart. However, I'm going to provide the user the option of changing their mind and say, you know what? If they don't want it, they can actually kick it back to the inventory, where that means they're going to minus the item, and it's going to be added ++ back into the inventory. So I can say, you know what? I changed my mind. There's actually a challenge in this section where you can actually have an automatic timing system where if it's been in the shopping cart for too long in your application, it's automatically booted out so that other people buy it. That's a challenge you can try to create in the code if you're interested in it. So I can actually temporarily hold on to items, which means I need a connection so that I can actually go, hey, shopping cart, what do you have? And I can actually potentially purchase it, although not just yet, because I can't purchase things from the shopping cart until I've actually checked in with my bank. And if it has the funds, it can actually tell me that this purchase is doable. So again, I have another one of these things. Is the item available in my shopping cart? If it is, I'm going to ask my bank, do you have the funds? And if it does, it's going to make the purchase, and the item is going to be added into my items. So another ++ item. Things are getting a bit squishy here, but hopefully it's clear enough. And it's going to be subtracted. I'll just do a little dotted line to show that where this connects. From my shopping cart. So got a bit of a mess there, but that's okay. It's just a conceptual representation of my project just to help me keep organized. Maybe I want to make a better copy of this once I've solidified my idea, but I'd love to see all of you creating documentation like this and all the future projects that we create so that we can have a conceptual mapping of our space. One final recap really quick. What are we doing in this project, or what have I made for you? The ability for a user to check a storefront's inventory, and if they like what they find, the items in stock, they can ask and check if they have enough money to make a purchase that then lets them own the item, removes it from the store. They also can temporarily hold the item in a shopping cart, which they can cancel later if they want to, but any items that are held, they can take a look at and go, okay, all the things that I've thought about buying, I'm going to commit to it now, and then we see, do we have enough funds? If we do, we're able to add that item into our inventory. I don't have a return system created yet. That's going to be another challenge for you if you want to choose to take it on, how to actually be able to return an item back to the storefront. There's also many other layers of systems here for managing the different types of items, what types of things can populate the inventory. I'll give you a little tour of some of those details in the code to come, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do to improve this idea and add new functionality onto it after you've reviewed my code well enough in the next lesson. See you then.